Hunters, thank you for joining us. I'm Joy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up as we dive into Season 5, Episode 1, Sympathy for the Devil. Happy New Year, everyone!
Happy New Year! Woo!
If my calculations are correct anyway. I think this is our first episode in January 2026.
Yeah. Insert fireworks sounds.
Yeah, Season 5.
Season 5, Episode 1. We're finally in Season 5, the best of all seasons. That's a hill that I'll die on. Fight me in the comments. I will write essays. Okay. I love this season so much.
Cool.
There's so many iconic episodes. You finally got to see Mark Pellegrino.
Yay!
Also, when we first started the podcast, way back in Season 1, I think we were both watching The X-Files. And he's actually in an episode of The X-Files, which I screen recorded to show you when we got to this point. That was obviously years ago. I have no idea where that is now. But he was in The X-Files playing this like really weird, like shitty character. Kind of looks like himself, but also kind of doesn't look like himself.
Did he? I think you might have shown me this before. Has he got like weird, long, straggly hair?
Yeah.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah. I've waited years for this point because he is so beautiful in this episode. He's such a phenomenal actor. He's the perfect person to play this part. He's incredible. He's the perfect Lucifer. And I was so happy when like I posted those memes. There's the one of Ned Flanders and Homer Simpson, and it's Mark Pellegrino over the devil's face, right? And Homer Simpson is like, they always told me the devil would be beautiful. And it's Mark in a flower crown. And Laura was like, oh my gosh, who is he? And I was like, that's the right attitude to take.
Definitely. Although I've realized from this episode that there's probably something wrong with me because I feel like I'm gonna think he's hotter when he's actually Lucifer.
No, you do. Because here's the thing, Nick's character, this is going to be so weird for me because obviously Nick is my husband, Nick, but so saying Nick feels strange. But Nick's character is so sympathetic.
Yeah.
And he's so tragic and he's so broken. But you and I are not really drawn to that as much as we are drawn to powerful ass-kicking characters. I have noticed. And also morally gray characters from time to time. So
just a little bit. And
some of the villains. Old Yellow Eyes, you know?
My
He's
favorite.
amazing. Like top tier villainy. So we finally get to see Laura's live reactions to Mark Pellegrino's performances. And we get to have Lucifer. And this means that I get to add, I know I'm not totally spoiler free in the reels and stuff because I just go where the content takes me. But I've tried to keep most of the content to the seasons that were actually on or have already passed. And so now I get to put Lucifer stuff in the reels and stuff like that. And there's so much witty banter.
I'm really looking forward to because he's not actually Lucifer yet in this episode, only right at the end, and we don't see him.
Only right at the very end, yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing that character.
Oh my god, he's so good. He's so sexy and menacing and hilarious. It's everything that you would want in someone playing Lucifer.
Is he sassy at all? Because I love a bit of sass.
100,000%. Like his sass levels are like 100 cats put together.
I feel like I'm literally going to fall in love with him.
Yeah, I think you will.
Yes. Talking of people that I'm in love with, you know how I've felt about Sam the last few episodes?
Yeah.
Do you like my segue there?
I do like your segue.
At the end of season 4, I was very I don't like Sam anymore. He's being mean and he's being grumpy. I don't like him. Well, I did a complete 180 in this episode. And it's because the bit where Bobby's possessed and he says all the horrible things to him. And I had a big rant. I've got a big rant in there because I was silly and I didn't realise. I should have realised that he was possessed because it's really obvious. But I didn't at the time. And I was like, I don't agree with Bobby and here's why. So that's coming up.
Nice.
But basically, I found my compassion for him again in this episode, and I found myself defending him a lot. But I will talk about that later.
Oh my God, Meg. This is my favorite version of Meg. I'm sorry. But I just remembered that Meg is in this episode. This is the first appearance of Rachel Miner as Meg, and she's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I like her
rest
as
in
well.
peace to Nikki Aycock. She was phenomenal as well. This version of Meg that we get is off the hook. I went to like the 90s or early 2000s there because I'm so excited about that. Like, that's how committed I am to this. My brain short circuited and went back in time. She is so
I
incredible.
really like her as well. Again,
her
sassy.
delivery is like the way that she speaks and forms her words. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this about her delivery, okay? But she is giving us like a 1940s style enunciation and performance. And she's making Meg so much more menacing because of it. Like, again, Nikki is incredible. And I will always love her version of Meg. She's fantastic. I love them both. But like this Meg, and she gets even more sassy. Like, she starts out as sassy and then she gets yet more sassy as time goes on. Okay, I'm done with my Meg rant. I'm sorry.
That's good. I'm looking forward to seeing more of her as well. I did like her. I had notes about her somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a treat for you and everyone, because one of my friends in the fandom actually writes fanfic. So I'm going to read a little bit of fanfic because this is the Becky episode. This is the fan fiction episode, right?
Oh, I don't like her, by the way.
She's horrible. My friend is nothing like Becky, and her writing is nothing like Becky.
I hated her.
Yeah, she's the worst. So what I decided to do was, I had read her short story Off My Mind, and I loved it. I thought it was so atmospheric and so cool. So she has a wide range of different kinds of fanfic, from the very, very spicy to just like atmospheric, chill, slice of life ones where you read it and you feel like you're inside an episode of Supernatural. And those I love. So those are the ones that I really gravitate towards, because there are some days where I'm feeling really stressed out and I'm just like, there's something really special about putting on a background that kind of sounds like you could be in the Impala or something, and you put up a piece of fanfic like this that's so well written, and you just feel like you're inside the episode with the characters and it's in your head, so it's even richer. And I love her for that. So this was written by J2SPN fan. She's super sweet. She's very active in the community, so I feel like you guys probably know her. I'm obviously going to put a link to her bio, because you can get to her stories through the link in her bio. You just need to drop down. There's one that I think it says AO3, which I'm not like a fan fiction person, but like I feel like anyone who's into fanfic is going to know that.
I know that, and I don't read fanfic.
I didn't know anything. She was like, here's this link, and I was like, what is that?
Cool.
So the name of the story that I'm going to read you excerpts from is Off My Mind. And one of the things that she does is she takes different lyrics from different songs, but she's obviously focused a lot on radio company songs, because duh.
Yeah.
They're lyrically really beautifully written. And I feel like what she's done is she's like taken lyrics from their stuff and interwoven it into these gorgeous pieces of Supernatural fanfic. So it's almost like a Supernatural episode, because you know how Supernatural weaves the music into the storyline. She does the exact same thing. So in this story, I'm not going to give you guys spoilers in case people don't want that, because I know some people want information but don't want spoilers, including you. So I'm not going to tell you who's in the episode, but I'm going to tell you it's one of my favorite storylines, and that it's really the story itself is really, really, really wholesome, and I love the way it's done. So the summary, she says, Dean Winchester receives a disturbing phone call from someone from his past, but he doesn't hesitate to jump in the Impala and go to them. It's an 8-hour drive to Indiana, and in that time, the radio plays a song, Off My Mind, a song that he and his passenger always loved. Once in Cicero, after a few choice words, some discussions about different memories, some sad, some amusing, the song comes on once more. And then it kind of leads you into the story. So I've chosen 2 different mini paragraph clips to read to you from the writing, because it doesn't give anything away, but it gives you an idea of what her style is like. Okay. Outside, fireflies were starting to blink in the damp grass, tiny specks of light against the dark. Lingering for a moment longer, he stood, turned back towards the door, and with love in his voice instructed the young man, "Get some sleep, okay?" Pausing, he looked around, shoving his hands in his jacket, his voice wavering. "You sure you don't want me to stay?" he asked. Then we have a different excerpt. This one I really like. The Impala's engine hummed low beneath Dean's hands, the kind of steady sound that could almost be mistaken for peace, if it weren't for the painful ache sitting beneath his ribs. The road ahead stretched in a long gray ribbon towards Indiana, sky painted in bruised shades of late afternoon orange, fading into purple, the horizon blurred by the rain. Pushing the Impala to her limit, Dean knew that he was playing a game of Russian roulette if he didn't slow down, but the phone call had unsettled him. So those are the ends of my excerpts.
I love how descriptive it is. I like
she's so descriptive. Like, the thing that I say to her when I'm like talking to her about what I enjoy about her storytelling is it just absorbs you. Her descriptions are so vivid. It engages a lot of your senses. She'll usually do things like visuals and sounds, like aromas and other things. And it's so immersive. Really, really enjoy it. So that's it. That story is not that long, but long enough to kind of get lost in for a little bit. And then she has, I think, 35 different ones on that server. And there's usually a bit in the description that tells you like what kind of story it is. So she puts loads of hashtags in. So if you're like me and you want the slice of life ones, you can navigate to those. If you want to try out some of the steamy ones, the hashtags will tell you. You can navigate your way to those and you can figure out which ones you'll enjoy reading the most. There's something for everybody, I think. I've only read some of the radio company, like I think I've only read the lyric ones. I haven't read all of them yet because I'm like saving them up. But the ones out of the radio company like genre, I've really enjoyed.
Cool. Would they, I know because fan fiction is often based on stuff that has happened, so would I get spoilers if I read, or would it be easy to navigate through ones that wouldn't get spoilers?
I think it would be easy to figure out if you get spoilers based on the hashtags. So like if you see names that you don't know, things about stuff that doesn't feel that familiar, I think you could maybe figure it out. This one doesn't have any spoilers because it's about characters that have already been present in the show. And while it alludes to things that happen in the show later on that are like shown.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't know that anyway.
You wouldn't know that anyway. And so like it doesn't actually spoiler anything.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I can also go through and earmark like which ones are spoiler free for anybody who's
this
interested.
One is
if
safe
you're like,
for you to listen
which
to
one can I
read?
Which one can I read in what season? I will go through and find which one you can read.
And you said you're going to put the links in the show notes. That's good.
Yes, the links will be in my show notes. So just hop on down to the links, guys, if you want to click through. And be sure to give her a like because she's very sweet. So whatever post that she's dropped when this episode comes out, please go and just give her a thumbs up or a heart or something.
Cool. Should I do the synopsis?
Yes, please, Laura. Synopsize us.
So this is season 5, episode 1, Sympathy for the Devil. The original air date for this episode was September 10th, 2009. After Lucifer was freed at the end of season 4, Sam and Dean are miraculously transported to safety. They regroup and go to see Chuck, who tells them Cass died, then later tells them about the Archangel Michael's sword and how the angels lost it. They call Bobby and work out where the sword is, but Bobby has been possessed by a demon and attacks them once they work this out. After this fight, Bobby is left severely injured and hospitalised. Sam and Dean go to find the sword before anyone else does, but the angels show up again and tell Dean he is the sword, meaning he's the human vessel for Michael, and ask for his consent to become the vessel so Michael can stop Lucifer. Dean refuses, so Zachariah tortures them. Cass then makes an unexpected return to save Sam and Dean, and throughout the episode, Lucifer is also searching for his vessel, a man called Nick, and finds him and gains his consent to use him as a host body at the end.
Ta-ta-ta! It's very dramatic.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in this episode.
There's a lot going on.
Opening episodes, they're good.
Yeah, me too.
Also, the opening I loved because it was Thunderstruck, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
I was singing along.
Oh, same. Thunderstruck is one of my most, if not my most favorite. No, to be fair, it is my most favorite song.
I think it's my favorite AC/DC song.
It's on every rock playlist that I play. If I feel super distressed about something, I'll play Thunderstruck, and it always makes me feel better. So
It just
having that,
fits the show so well and the
it
episode so well.
fits the show perfectly. I love the way that they interweave the like clips from the scenes that are important, because it's basically a show reel of the whole last set of events that brings us to where we are now, and they edit it so beautifully. Like, I don't know who puts
Yeah.
their reels together, their show reels together for the teasers, but they're a fucking genius, or geniuses if it's multiple people. It's amazing, and the choice for AC/DC was absolutely flawless. Like, it's
Yeah.
so nice when we get to the seasons and they shelled out for like really great music. That's the best thing in the world.
Yeah, so good. I feel like AC/DC was on the last like opening as
Hell's
well. I can't remember.
Bells. Yeah, it was
Yes, yeah,
Hell's
it was.
Bells.
Yeah, cool. So we get all of the previously on sort of stuff. The road
Yeah.
so far stuff.
Yeah.
We open exactly where we left off at the end of season 4. The seal is opening and a bright light is emanating from it. Sam and Dean are clutching each other. Dean says they need to go and they run to the doors, but then the doors get closed in their faces and trap them in the room. And they're like panicking, basically. They're banging and rattling the doors in desperation, trying to get them open. And then a high pitched noise starts. And it's a bit like when Cass was trying to talk to people, isn't it? That kind of goes right through you.
Yeah.
And Sam and Dean look terrified and look at each other, then back towards the light and the seal opening. And they cover their ears and fall to their knees. And I was really scared for them, but I was also really excited because I thought we were going to finally see Lucifer.
See Lucifer. Yeah.
However, we don't get to see him yet.
Oh, well, he's the explosion of light.
Well, yeah, I suppose. I meant.
But I know what you mean. I'm just being pedantic.
Yeah.
I'm just being nerdy.
Just at the moment we think we're going to see him, a white light fills the screen and we cut to a cartoon version of the devil, which is this Looney Tunes, because it was Yosemite Sam, wasn't it?
I can't remember if they're Acme or like which.
Is it a Looney Tunes episode or is it like a film?
I think it's from a film, but I did not look it up because I was too busy finding it hilarious. That is like, what's your the devil being like, what's your name? And he's like, Sam.
Yeah, that was funny.
my earlier notes with the blast of light, can I just say so Sam turns around and says he's coming in terror, and I wrote phrasing, and then I wrote huge lightgasm and demon noises.
He's an angel, Joy. As he tells us many times in this episode.
He does tell us that. He's going to keep telling us that because it's point of pride for him, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was such a strong opening. I liked it. And I like how it then
Super
it's
strong.
like really scary and then all of a sudden you get this cartoon
and
devil.
Ridiculous. I wrote big angelic blast and they were on a plane watching cartoons. Plane starts going down as the blast goes off again. This is nonsense. Phantom traveler nonsense. Dean is nowhere near freaked out enough also. And then we cut to the boys on the road at night driving, I don't know, modern cars, a Buick looking motherfucker.
I was like, what is this? I didn't understand what was happening. And all my notes said were, why are they on a plane? And Dean must be shitting a brick.
Yeah, because he just did not look scared enough because we know how much he hates planes. Okay, we've already seen this. And then he thought he was about to die. And then he's on a plane that's actually crashing, which is like his worst fear.
Yeah.
And he, don't get me
wrong,
like,
he
no
does look out the window kind of scared.
Yeah, no shade to Jensen. He doesn't look the level of fear that I personally expected Dean to look in this scenario.
Like in Phantom Traveler when he was literally
screaming. Like, I assume they decided that it would have been too over the top for the scene and they wanted to lean away from comedy and scare us. And if he's really reacting like that it would be
maybe they're
funny.
In shock.
Well, yeah, that's the excuse that I decided to land.
Yeah,
because I feel like the real reason is how it would have looked and it would have made it funny. So they're not allowed to do that. So like, again, Jensen did everything perfectly. No shade to Jensen whatsoever. But I was just like, from my own personal point of view, the fact that Dean was not super shitting a brick, I was like, no, that's not real.
No. Also, we see the big burst of light from where I assume is the convent.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm still, you know what, even by the end of this episode, and I know Cass tries to explain it, I still don't understand what happened.
I can tell you what happened. The writers with nonsense. Because what they wanted to do, I tell you this from many, many a lecture in screenwriting, what they wanted to do was they wanted to allude to the fact that God interfered and that Dean and Sam are so important that
It
God
was
was like,
God.
I'm going to put you in my little palm of my hand and put you over here.
Okay.
That's what we're supposed to think.
That's
I feel like
convenient.
it feels a little bit like Sam's powers. You know what I'm saying? In the plot, it feels a little bit like that. Feels a little bit like the lantern should have been hung a bit more, maybe a little earlier.
There is actually a couple
easy.
of convenient things in this episode. I do have another thing. I can't remember what it is at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's very easy for me to sit here and be an armchair critic, which I recognize. Okay. I recognize that I could not do the job that they do as well as they do it, and they are brilliant. Can I just say that? But also, guys, I feel like the lantern should have happened earlier in this episode. Love you. Thank you.
It's okay, so it's supposed to be God. That's what I didn't realize. I did not understand how they got out, because Cass is like, it wasn't me, it wasn't the angels, it wasn't the demons. Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
And yeah, so now they're in this rental car driving, listening to the radio, and there's loads of things. It's like a newscaster on the radio saying it's unlikely to have been a terrorist attack on a convent. Dean tells Sam to change the station, and he keeps turning it to different channels, and other horrible things have been happening, like a hurricane, earthquakes, swine flu. Also, that was very topical at the time, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. I had swine flu. It was unfortunate for me.
That was the COVID of the 2009.
Yeah. 2009, 2010, some point around there.
Yeah.
It sucked.
So, yeah, Sam starts to say something to Dean, like probably apologise, and Dean cuts him off and says it's okay and they'll work it out, basically. And Dean asks how they got on the plane, and Sam says it might have been the angels beaming them out of harm's way. This is all right. But why would they have done that? They are dicks, as we have established.
Dicks with wings.
And Dean says they need to find Cass, and then they go to Chuck's house.
Yeah. So Chuck's house
Chuck
looks
is funny.
real bad. Chuck is fucking hilarious. Chuck's house is like fucked up. There's blood all over. There's pages ripped up like a hurricane hit it.
Yeah.
Sam and Dean look around all dramatic and broody and are trying to find him, being like, oh no. And they look hot while they're dramatic and broody, don't get me wrong, but I just would like to know that because the next scene makes that so funny. So they turn a corner and Chuck whams Sam in the face with a toilet plunger. And the way that I died laughing. And Sam stumbles back, hand to his head. And Sam is like, jeez, ow. And he's so outraged. Like, this is one of the angriest that I've ever seen him, like, just in the show. He's more angry about this than so many other things. And I understand that because the toilet plunger, gross. But yeah, it's so comical. I
didn't even realize that's what it was.
It's a toilet plunger. Yeah. And then Chuck goes, Sam? And Sam goes, yeah. And he's still really mad. And Dean in the background is like, hey, Chuck. Chuck's like, so you're okay to Sam? And Sam says, well, my head hurts. And Chuck says, no, I mean my last vision. And he's like, you went like full on Vader. And I in my show notes it says asterisk plays Star Wars theme.
And also that's what you called him last episode, so yeah, on point.
Me and Chuck, same page. He says your body temperature was 150, your heart rate was 200, your eyes were black. And Dean's like, your eyes went black? And Sam looks over at him and he goes, I didn't know. He looks really uncomfortable and guilty. Yeah. And Dean says, where's Cass? And then, because the credits are rolling through this scene, my notes just say in all caps, Mark Pellegrino, fuck yes! Chuck says, he's dead or gone. The Archangel smote the crap out of him. I'm sorry. And Dean says, you're sure? I mean, maybe he just vanished into the light or something. And Chuck says, oh no, he like exploded. Yep. And then my notes say in all caps, Rachel Miner, yes, my queen. That's the last interruption, I swear, guys. Chuck says, like a water balloon of chunky soup. And Sam takes a closer look at Chuck and waves a hand at his left ear. And he's like, you gotta... So Chuck waves his hand over his right ear. And Chuck is like, right here. And Sam's like, no, the other side of your head. And Chuck feels in his hair and goes, oh God. And then he
Blech.
pulls something out of his hair and he looks at it in horror and he says, is that a molar? It is. Do I have molar in my hair? This has been a really stressful day. And
That was
Dean is just like,
disgusting.
yeah, it was horrible. Cass, you stupid bastard. And Sam says, stupid? He was trying to help us. And Dean says, yeah, exactly. And Sam says, so what now? And Dean says, I don't know. And Chuck goes, oh crap. And Sam's like, what? And Chuck says, I can feel them.
Oh,
which is funny. And then Zachariah turns up.
bloody angels.
Such an asshole. He goes, thought we'd find you here. Sam and Dean turn around and Zachariah is like, Sam and Dean turn around and there's Zachariah and two angels with him who've just into the room. And he says, playtime's over, Dean. Time to come with us. And Dean points at him and says, you just keep your distance, asshat. And I wrote, slinging insults like a middle schooler. And Zachariah says, you're upset. And Dean says, yeah, a little. You sons of bitches jump-started Judgment Day. Zachariah says, maybe we let it happen. We didn't start anything. And Zachariah says, right, Sammy? And then he winks. He said, you had a chance to stop your brother and you couldn't. So let's not quibble over who started what. Let's just say it was all our faults and move on. Because like it or not, it's apocalypse now. And I was like, oh, that's a good line.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, and we're back on the same team again. And Dean says, is that so? And Zachariah says, you want to kill the devil? We want you to kill the devil. It's synergy. But he says it in the most like annoying middle management corporate
thing again.
way.
Yeah. The angels are corporate. We know this.
They're so corporate. Dean says, and I'm just supposed to trust you? Cram it with walnuts, ugly.
I'm like, what? Dean, what? He's got such funny phrases and it makes me crack up.
He's so random. I love him.
Cram it with walnuts, ugly.
Yeah. Zach says, this isn't a game, son. I'm calling him Zach now. And then he says,
Zach.
Lucifer is powerful in ways that defy description. We need to strike now, hard, and fast before he finds his vessel. And Sam says, his vessel? Lucifer needs a meat suit? And Zach says, he is an angel. Them's the rules. And then he says, and when he touches down, we're talking 4 horsemen, red oceans, fiery skies, the greatest hits. You can stop him, Dean, but you need our help. And Dean says, you listen to me, you two-faced douche. And I was like, that's my man. Dean says, after what you did, I don't want jack squat from you. And then I was like, it started so strong. And then he put in jack squat. I was like, clearly there's so much going on in this episode that the censors were like, you cannot have swearing. You can't have all of this blood and the dead babies and also the swearing. You've got to pick one.
So you have to say, cram it with walnuts and call people douches.
And say jack squat.
Jack squat.
Sounds like a children's book character. So Zachariah says, you listen to me, boy. You think you can rebel against us as Lucifer did? And then blood's dripping from Dean's hand. And he says, you're bleeding. And Dean says, oh yeah, a little insurance policy in case you dicks showed up. And then he slaps his bloody hand on an angel banishing sigil that's drawn behind a door. So like the door slides, like he slides the door out and then he slams it down. And Zachariah goes, no! Sam and Chuck flinch. And Zachariah vanishes in a white light. When Dean looks, the other angels are gone as well. Dean says, learn that from my friend Cass, you son of a bitch. I was like, ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
And then Chuck looks around at everything, like all of the carnage, and just says, this sucks ass.
That was funny. Yeah. I thought Dean banishing him was hot.
100%.
But I did have a question, like how they were literally talking to Chuck. When did he have time to do that? Because he got it all prepared, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was like a minor plot hole or if we're supposed to believe that they like had been there for a while, they did it before. But I feel like, didn't we see them just kind of just turn up and then talk to Chuck?
So the way
that because they were creeping through the
the way that it's
house.
filmed, there's not really a lot of time for Dean to have done it. But I think there's a couple of moments. I could be wrong because, again, I don't have the episode in front of me. We all know my memory is full of holes. But I feel like there's a couple of moments where their attention is like Sam says stuff and their attention is on Sam for like a little bit. So I think
Yeah.
we're supposed to believe that in those moments when they were looking away, Dean quickly, like slyly made the cut, drew the sigil, and then was like, "Fuck off."
Okay, yes, that makes sense then. Okay.
I mean,
believe that.
that's my only excuse. Like, I do think that if you watch it literally, it's sus. But that's the only way that I can excuse it.
I mean, they might have even cut a scene out or something, we don't know.
Yeah, it's possible. But
Um,
it plays well, so we
yeah.
allow it.
Mhm.
Before we move on,
Yeah.
my notes say, "Yes, Chuck. Yes, it does."
It's so funny. He's just like, I'm having a really bad day. And then he's just like,
Yeah.
this sucks.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Relatable. He's so funny.
So then we cut to the outside of a motel and Sam goes inside where Dean is and throws a hex bag at him. He says they're to protect them against any angels or demons finding them. And Dean asks where he got them from and Sam says he made them and he learned how from Ruby. And Dean asks him if he's jonesing for another hit of bitch blood, quote.
Yeah.
And Sam's convenient to the plot things continue because he's not going to have withdrawals this time, apparently.
No.
He's just fine
He's
now
got
this time.
angel methadone.
Nearly died last time, but yeah,
Yeah.
he's fine now.
Do we believe him about the angel methadone?
I don't know what to believe anymore.
Yeah. Like Dean at the end where he's like, "I just don't know if I can trust you." Trust issues.
Yeah. I feel like it's just one of those convenient things. The writers didn't want him to have to do that again, so they're not gonna. Sam then tries to talk to Dean about everything that's happened, but Dean stops him and says it's fine. But it doesn't seem like it's fine because he then gets angry with Sam. He tries to change the subject and says if it was a normal hunt, what would they do first? And Sam says they'd figure out where the thing is. And Dean says, all right, so we've just got to find the devil. And they look at each other like, seriously, what are our lives?
Yep. That was really good. My notes say, "The hotel is back to by the hour. It is gross, and I do not want to stay here. 0 stars. The wallpaper is a hideous allusion to a portal. Thank you, set design."
I don't think I had any notes for the motel again.
I am not staying there. Those colors are gross.
Ew.
Absolutely not. Never. The patterns disturbed me. Like, they genuinely disturbed me.
Yeah.
So we cut to Nick's house at night, and he has a really pretty house. Can I just say, like, I would live there minus the murders. And the credits say Pike Creek, Delaware. So I was like, oh, location. Let me see what you have for me, location friend. And I did find some spooky things. It's very short and very sweet for this one. So I'm just going to read you what I found out. So it says, Pike Creek, Delaware is associated with both local legends of paranormal activity and a fictional storyline on this TV series, Supernatural. And I was like, yes, this is true.
Yay.
I know. I love it when they're like, when places that they filmed, that then becomes part of that place's lore and everybody's obsessed. Yeah. It's so fun. So, local legends. The most prominent local paranormal legend connected to the Pike Creek area is a place called the Valley, which houses this road called the Haunted Road, which is long and winding and supposed to be hella haunted near the creek in Pikes Creek. Other general Delaware paranormal folklore includes the Pukwudgie, which is a small human-like creature.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and Wampanoag folklore. You'd be so proud of me because I looked up the pronunciation for that and I have it written out so I could like sound it out. The Catman legend and stories related to the Fort Delaware prison. And then there's a quote from an article that says the valley in Newark has a long, creepy, haunted winding road. Eyes have been sighted in the darkness. Screams have been heard, and things run in front of cars or chase them. Trees seem to follow and move along with cars, bending towards them, and you must stay alert. Along this road is supposedly a tree where an abandoned baby was placed and left to die. People have heard the sounds of an infant crying coming from the tree.
Oh, so it kind of links to the the
Yep.
sounds of the baby, like a
Yep.
ghost baby in this.
Exactly.
Ooh, cool.
Location lore is on point. The Easter eggs continue.
So it's night and we see a man who's Nick walking back to his house in the dark. A wind picks up and his gate keeps slamming open and shut and he looks back confused. Then we cut to later and he's in bed and he wakes up covered in blood. And it's actually really scary, this bit. Like
Mm.
disgusting and scary. And he
This
freaks
is
out a bit.
so good as well
Yeah.
because this is so PTSD. Like, it's
Yeah.
really well written for anybody who's experienced PTSD stuff.
Mhm.
Like, this is really well done, in my opinion.
Yeah. So yeah, he freaks out because like he's covered in blood. And when he turns his light on, the blood's gone and his sheets are completely clean. And he thinks
Yeah.
he's going crazy. And he gets back into bed and calms down a bit. And then he turns over and his dead wife is there. And she tells him that he's special and he's chosen, although we don't actually know it's his dead wife yet.
Mm.
He covers his eyes with his hands. When he uncovers them again, she's gone. Oh, this is when I wrote, now I know this guy is Mark Pellegrino and I know he's Lucifer, but obviously he's not yet because he's the vessel. And
Mm-hmm.
I know I've said in the past that I'm really looking forward to Lucifer as a character being on the show because I think he's hot. And I do think
Yep.
he's hot now. However, I don't feel like the character Nick is hot. So it must be when he's actually Lucifer and that feels problematic. And it's
Yeah.
not that I don't think he's hot actually. It's just the character because he's so sad and like
Yeah. It's
I feel
the
bad
thing
for
is
him.
he's
I'm
sad
not
and
thinking of him as a thirst
traumatized.
trap.
Exactly. When they're sad and traumatized, you want to help them and give them a hug, not
Yeah.
like salivate over them. So that's
Yeah,
perfectly
exactly.
reasonable. I love the makeup effect in this. So there's an
Mm.
effect where when she's talking to him, there's a cut on her cheek that's like actively bleeding throughout the scene. So I don't know if they CGI'd it or if they put like a drip there that would like
Yeah.
slowly ooze. But either way, it looks really cool and really, really creepy. And it makes it a
Yeah.
lot creepier than if there was just static blood on her.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really good gore. And it was scary. It made it a lot scarier.
Yeah. It was scary and obviously it was scary to him as well. And yeah, it's showing how because obviously this is Lucifer and he's
Mm,
circling his vessel as Cass puts it later.
yeah.
And it's just really creepy all over, all round.
Yes. Supernatural Wiki wrote in the transcript, her name is Sarah, and the last thing he expected was to see her. And I wrote, well, yeah, extremely dead wife in the bed that's actually the devil is pretty unexpected, my guy.
Yeah. So then we get the Becky scenes, Joy. I reject her, so you can do this. She's really creepy. I don't like her.
Okay. I have notes. So my notes from the last scene just before we move on to Becky
Oh,
say
sorry.
Nick is not live, laugh, loving. No, it's fine. Nick is not live, laugh, loving. He is lamenting, lonely, and lifeless.
Aw,
And then,
poor Nick.
yeah, he really is. Poor sweet baby Nick. And then I wrote, fuck my life, it's Becky. I hate Becky with the fire of 1,000 suns. Here she sits writing Wincest on a Tuesday. Ew.
Yeah, I really don't like her. I thought she was creepy. The whole incest fan fiction is disgusting. And the bit she feels up Sam and he literally says, "Can you stop?" and she says no. And I feel like if it was the other way around, if it
Gertrude.
was a yeah, but if it was a man doing that to a woman, we would
Yeah.
be like, that's not okay, and it's not okay now.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
also I read somewhere that she's a well liked character, but I don't know
From
why.
who?
I don't know. I don't know where I wrote this. I didn't put it down. I feel like it was like a con thing or something about does she go to cons or like there was loads of people talking about it and I can't remember where. It might have been on IMDb, but I don't know because I
People
didn't
might
write it in
really
the
like the
notes.
actress.
Oh, maybe. Maybe that's what it was.
I mean,
But I was
I'm
like,
trying
even
to
in
remember if
2009, this feels problematic.
yeah, I'm trying to remember um if she has a redeeming character arc at any point in the show. And I think there's something where she displays some growth, but I just never
Uh-huh.
like I don't think I ever changed my mind about her. I feel like my first impression has pretty much stayed the
Okay.
same because again, my initial reaction was fuck my life, it's Becky, I hate her. So,
Okay, good. Because
I don't think my
I was
opinion's
like,
going to change.
I had a very like visceral
Strong
reaction to
reaction.
her, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I don't like her, and I hope I don't anger anyone by saying that.
I don't think that you will. And if you do, I'm in
Okay.
the same boat right here with you. I mean, there's
Okay,
people who
cool.
say that they hate Cass. So like, and then there's people who violently love Cass. So I feel like we're okay. Like we're all allowed to feel how we feel about characters. So my takeaway of this character is this is a caricature of the fandom in its extremity. So like there are the problematic fans that we've discussed before on the podcast. And this is the writers getting their own back upon those people. So she's satire, right? She's satire. And
Okay.
I just don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it at all. So we go into her bedroom. It's daytime. She has poster-sized prints of all of the covers of Carver Edlund's Supernatural series. So we see Route 66. We see the Benders. She's sitting at her computer typing and reading aloud. And she says, and then Sam caressed Dean's clavicle. This is wrong, said Dean. Then I don't want to be right, replied Sam in a husky voice.
No, Becky, go to jail.
I know, right? I love it when you say that. No, Becky, go to jail should be a sticker. So a message appears on her screen. Is Carver Edlund calling? So she does a double take and then hits accept, and then there's the window, and on the video phone we see it's Chuck. He glances over his shoulder and then back at Becky. Becky covers her mouth, excited enough that it causes her to like completely flip out, and she's like, oh my god, you're and Chuck says, Carver Edlund. Yeah, hi Becky. And Becky says, you got my letters and my marzipan. I was like, oh. And Chuck like can't really meet her eyes, and he goes, yeah, yummy, and he's clearly so uncomfortable. But and she says, Chuck. I am your number one fan. You know, I am Sam Licker 81.
Ew. Why, Becky? No. Stop.
Chuck says, I'm sorry, you're what? Which I feel like that was most people's reaction. And Becky says, web mistress at morethanbrothers.net. And Chuck says, oh, yeah, no. Yeah, you're my number one fan. And Becky grins, and Chuck says, because Becky cannot read a room. Okay.
No.
Chuck says, that's why I contacted you. You're the only one who will believe me. I'm like, yeah, because she's unhinged. Chuck looks heavenward, like, why is this happening to me? Becky frowns and says, are you all right? And he says, no, I'm being watched. Okay, not now, at least. I don't think so, but I don't have much time. I need your help. And then she switches back to super hyped. And she says, you need my help? And Chuck says, that's right. I need you to get a message to Sam and Dean, okay? And then she goes, look, Mr. Edlund, yes, I'm a fan, but I really don't appreciate being mocked. I know that Supernatural is just a book, okay? I know the difference between fantasy and reality. And Chuck rolls his eyes like 3 times in a row. And he says, Becky, it's all real. And Becky snaps back to being super hyped and says, I knew it! And she like screams it. And then we cut to the motel.
No, Becky, go stand in the corner.
Go to jail.
Go to jail.
Sticking with go to jail. I like that the most. It's better when you say it, though. It's better in your
Go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect £200.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I don't have anything else.
She is a horror. It's the interior of the motel room of horrors, and it's daytime. And Sam is staring at John's journal, and Dean is watching TV. And voice 1 says, how would you then explain an earthquake, a hurricane, and multiple tornadoes all at the same time around the globe? And
global warming.
Says, yeah, carbon emissions. And Dean, to the environmentalist, says, yeah, right, wavy gravy. And there's a knock at the door. Dean pulls his gun. Sam answers, and it's Becky, so excited that she's like panting. And Sam says, you okay, lady? And Becky says, Sam, is it really you? And Sam glances back at Dean. Meanwhile, Becky takes this opportunity to step closer and put her hand on Sam's chest. And she says, and you're so firm. And Sam says, do I know you? And Becky pulls back. Sam continues to stare, bewildered.
Has she met people before?
Never, apparently. You're Sam Winchester, and Becky looks at Dean, who's staring at her, his gun hand out of sight, and she says, not what I pictured. And then just in all screaming capitals, I wrote, shut up, Rebecca.
That's the only part I found funny.
Yeah. She says, I'm Becky. And then she pushes past Sam into the room and she says, I read all about you guys, and I've even written a few. And then she glances down, giggling a little. Anyway, Mr. Edlin told me where you were. And Dean stands up and he says, Chuck? And Sam closes the door. Becky says, he's got a message, but he's being watched. Angels. Nice change up to the mythology, by the way. The demon stuff was getting kind of old. And Sam's like, right, just what's the message? Because he's like, for the love of God, please go away from me. Far,
Is this the
far
writers
away.
being self-aware again?
Yeah. And Becky says, he had a vision. The Michael sword is on Earth. The angels lost it. And Dean says, the Michael sword? And Sam's like, Becky, does he know where it is? And Becky's like, in a castle on a hill made of 42 dogs. And Dean says, 42 dogs? And Sam's like, are you sure you got that right? And Becky says, it doesn't make sense, but that's what he said. And then she steps right up to Sam. And she says, I memorized every word. And then she starts fondling Sam's chest again. And she says, for you. And Sam looks over at Dean like he's dying. Like, please come and save me.
Help me.
And then he says, Becky, can you quit touching me? And she just goes, no. And I was like, poor Sam.
Yeah. It's not okay, Becky.
It's not okay at all. And then
also, is it a plot hole that she knew their surname? Because wasn't there like a whole thing in The Monster at the end of this book about how he never wrote their surname into the books,
which is why he believes them.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, we can guess that Carver told her.
Yeah, I suppose we might not have had the whole call.
Yeah. But assuming that we did see the whole call, then it is a plot hole.
Mm.
So then we get to my favorite part of the episode because we finally see baby. It's like, I don't know, 15 minutes in or something. I was like, I wrote in screaming all caps, there's my baby. This was too long. I was Impala deprived. I was delighted to see her. Okay. And she looks beautiful. So we get this roaring, purring shot of the front of her as she goes into park. And then we see this close up of what is obviously Bobby, because you see the trucker hat in his hand and he's stepping out. And I just wrote again in screaming all caps, Bobby, I am delighted. I was like, there's baby, there's Bobby. Yes.
Yeah. So he's turned up because, well, he must have had baby then. And he went to get her. Mm-hmm. And they've obviously called him about the Michael sword too.
Yeah. I feel like Dean probably called and said, we have to figure out what's going on with the Michael sword. And also I need my baby. And Bobby was like, I'll go get baby and bring her to you. So we go into the interior of the motel room and there's a knock on the door. Dean opens it and it's Bobby. And he says, hey, Bobby. And Bobby hugs Dean, slapping him on the back. And he says, good to see you boys all in one piece. And then he hugs Sam, who's grinning from ear to ear. And Dean says, you weren't followed, were you? And Bobby says, you mean by angels, demons, or Sam's new super fan? And Sam laughs and he says, you heard? And Bobby says, I heard, Romeo. So sort of Michael, huh? And Dean says, you think we're talking about the actual sword from the actual archangel? And Bobby says, you better freaking hope so, which was funny. And then he opens the book to this painting of Michael surrounded by other angels. In the painting, Michael looks like a winged woman and the other angels are naked babies with wings. Doesn't really look like a winged woman. It just looks like a Renaissance rendering of someone, but okay. So Bobby says, that's Michael, toughest son of a bitch they got. And Sam flips to another painting. And again, I'll allow that it's a feminine kind of beauty, because when people used to paint angels, because angels were viewed as having every gender or no gender.
Yeah.
They're often painted in a kind of almost, what's the word that I want here? Like, you could interpret them as being multiple genders. That's not always like, he's not like in your face, I am a man in a lot of these older paintings. So Dean says, you kidding me? Tough, that guy looks like Cate Blanchett. And I was like, this is a stereotypical Dean take. Mm-hmm. So Bobby says, well, I wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley, believe me. He commands the heavenly host. During the last big dust-up upstairs, he's the one who booted Lucifer's ass to the basement, did it with that sword. And Bobby points to the sword in the painted Michael's hand. Bobby says, so if we can find it, and Sam says, we can kick the devil's ass all over again. All right, so where do we start? And Bobby says, divvy up and start reading. Try and make sense of Chuck's nonsense.
So is all that Archangel Michael stuff like accurate, biblically accurate? Because I don't really know.
So, yes, and also slightly no, because I'm pretty sure that some of the Archangel Michael stuff is stuff that was born out of medieval interpretations of the text rather than like what the Bible actually says.
Yeah.
But as far as there being a belief in Christianity that the Archangel Michael can defeat the devil, that's absolutely true. And it gets
Okay.
used as an allegory throughout the medieval period. We see Michael stabbing the dragon, often with a sword, but sometimes with like a lance. But he's always shown defeating the devil, and the devil is usually depicted as a dragon.
Hmm. Is the whole Lucifer as a fallen angel thing in the Bible? It's been a long
Yes.
time since I've read the Bible. It was like probably about 10.
Yeah. So Lucifer does fall. It's his punishment. Also, what I
Yeah.
really liked was Lucifer's rant in this episode is biblically accurate. That's
Ah, cool.
why he fell. He is upset. He does think that God is unfair. I could see him as a character interpreting this as he disagreed with his father, and his father just cast him out.
Yeah.
Because he just basically said that human beings were less perfect than the angels. They were less perfect than God. And he didn't think that it was right that perfect beings should have to bow to imperfect beings.
Ah,
And God was like, "So you're defying me." And
yeah.
Lucifer was like, "What?" And then there's the war. And then
What?
God throws him away and
Yeah.
says, "You've been very naughty. Go to this corner of hell. Now I'm making hell. Everything's hell."
The Bible's pretty metal, really, isn't it?
It is pretty metal and pretty weird. Especially Revelations. Revelations is wild. Revelations, you read it and you're like, how many drugs did you take, sir? So Sam gets up and heads for a pile of old books, presumably brought by Bobby. He stares at the books for a long moment, not reaching for them. Bobby says, "Kid, you all right?" And Sam turns to face Bobby. And he says, "No, actually, Bobby, this is all my fault. I'm sorry." And Dean in the background is like, "Sam?" And his face is like, "Shut the fuck up." Like the entire time that he's in the background, he's like, "Don't do this. Do not
Yeah.
burn this bridge. Like, keep your mouth shut."
Also, I just thought of something. Sorry. You know how we always say, when Dean's sad or something's happened because he doesn't want to eat? With Sam, it's that he doesn't want to research.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So Sam says Lilith didn't break the final seal. Lilith was the final seal. And Dean says, "Sam, stop it." And Sam says, "I killed her and I set Lucifer free." And Bobby says, "You what?" And Sam says, "You guys warned me about Ruby, the demon blood, but I didn't listen. I brought this on." And Dean's kind of like just silent in the background, like, "For fuck's sake, I told you to keep your mouth shut." And Bobby stands up and walks closer and says, "You're damn right you didn't listen. You were reckless and selfish and arrogant." And Sam says, "I'm sorry." And Bobby says, "Oh, yeah? You're sorry you started Armageddon? This kind of thing don't get forgiven, boy. If by some miracle we pull this off, I want you to lose my number. You understand me?" And Sam nods. And
Mm.
he's like on the verge of tears. You can see the
Yeah.
tears welling up in his eyes, and it's horrible. And Dean in the background is still silent. And Sam says, "There's an old church nearby. Maybe I'll go read some of the lore books there." And Bobby says, "Yeah, you do that." Spelled subtext is like, "Fuck off." So
Yeah.
Sam leaves, and Bobby turns back to Dean, who's still like shooketh into silence because I think Dean's kind of traumatized and frozen because here's his
Yeah.
only good dad now acting like his old dad. Like here comes the new boss, same as the old boss, kind of a vibe. He's like, "Oh no, everything is ruined now." So Sam walks across the street looking absolutely crestfallen, shattered, like distraught. And my notes say, "I am unlighted. I am soggy." Because before I was like, "Oh, it's Bobby. I'm delighted." Now I was like, "I am unlighted. I am soggy. I am wet
Aw.
and rainy."
So this is where I want to say my bit about Sam that I said in the preamble
Say away.
and how I changed my mind. Now, I do know that we find out later that this isn't actually Bobby, but a demon possessing Bobby. So my reaction is probably a bit of an overreaction, but I want to leave it in anyway because I still think it's an important thing to bring up, and it links to what I said about how I've been mad about Sam for a few episodes, but I find my compassion for him in this episode. So my initial notes for this scene were, I'm surprised by Bobby's reaction when he tells Sam to lose his number, then telling Dean they shouldn't have saved him and John was right about maybe having to kill Sam. And I don't think this is true to his character. And then I wrote, yeah, past me, should have been a clue mate. and then And then I feel bad for Sam. Yes, he made a huge mistake, but he has shown nothing but remorse since. And also he was being manipulated by Ruby, which we have mentioned before.
Yeah.
And the angels were being manipulative too. And he thought he was saving the world. And then I put, maybe I'm just being sensitive because I was in a relationship where I was heavily manipulated too. So yeah, and so from experience, you don't necessarily know what's happening to you when you're being manipulated. You don't understand it at the time. And so yeah, I just felt really bad for Sam here. And I don't really know why I feel so differently now than the last few weeks, but I do. And
well,
I felt bad for him.
I think in the last few weeks, we watched Sam again and again make really dark choices and do raw things. Like he was literally strangling Dean to death.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that
previously. There were like a lot of things. He's like drinking that woman, you know, killing people, doing dark stuff. So
yeah,
I understand why you were like, nope, nope, nope. Then in this episode, we get Sam back. Like he seems like himself. He seems like OG Sam. He's taking accountability for his actions everywhere.
And he knows he's done wrong.
Yeah, he's apologizing. He's taking full responsibility. He's making correct apologies where he's like, this is the thing that I did wrong. This is how I want to make amends. Like, and when people criticize him, he doesn't make excuses. He just is like, yeah, you're right. I'm so sorry. So everything that he's doing is giving the impression that he's making full, sincere, like actual atonements. And then when you see I think in my head, having been like around a lot of addicts, like all of my life, I know how perilous it is. He's theoretically on day one of his recovery. And someone who he loves the most in the world, he apologized. He's tried to make amends and they've reamed him. And so you see him walking down like all tearful and so alone. And Dean didn't say anything. So his brother didn't defend him. And his father figure just said, never speak to me again. You've ruined everything. It's heart-wrenching, so I can understand why your feelings shifted. Okay, so Bobby and Dean are doing research, and Bobby says, I never would have guessed that your daddy was right. And Dean says, about what? And Bobby says, about your brother. And Dean looks up. And Bobby says, what John said, you save Sam or kill him, maybe. And Dean says, maybe what? And Bobby says, maybe we shouldn't have tried so hard to save him. And Dean says, Bobby. And Bobby says, he ended the world, Dean. And you and I weren't strong enough to stop him proper. That's on us. I'm just saying your dad was right. And Dean says, Dad? And he rummages through his backpack because he's realized something. He's had an epiphany. And he's like, it's got to be in here somewhere. And Bobby says, what the hell are you talking about? And Dean says, here. And he pulls it out and reads it. And Dean says, I don't believe it. And Bobby says, what the hell is it? And Dean says, it's a card for my dad's lockup in upstate New York. Read it. And Bobby takes it and says, Castle Storage, 42 Rover Hill. And Dean says, castle on a hill of 42 dogs.
See, he's quite smart for a himbo, really.
He's brilliant for a himbo. He is a himbo, but he's also kind of a genius.
Yeah, he is.
He is very smart. He's pretty and he's smart.
Also, is this the same lockup that we saw before, you know, where the one where John stored all of Sam's childhood sport trophies and Dean's childhood guns?
I think it's supposed to be a different location.
Oh, okay. Also, my initial notes I'd written, so John might have the sword. That would be convenient.
Convenient.
And then I put, Bobby punches Dean. Oh, it's not Bobby. That makes more sense. I probably should have guessed.
Yeah. So basically Bobby asks if he thinks his dad had the sword the whole time, and Dean says, I don't know, I'm not sure what else Chuck could have meant. And he's like, yeah, okay, it's good enough for me. And then this is when he attacks Dean. Now, I have to say Jim Bieber did an amazing job in his performance, because usually he plays this genial, like amiable, yes, gruff character, but like this flip in his face was so good that he was scaring me before they did the special effects. Like he's definitely violent, quick, and he does dead eyes like really, really well. He does really good like serial killers, crazy ass eyes. So my hat is off to him.
Yeah.
Um, so they fight really violently and it's really scary.
Mm.
And then I was like, "Oh," because I couldn't remember if Bobby was possessed or not. And Laura gave me a clue because she was like, "I'll tell you, blah 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 blah," like and like messaging each other, and I was like, "Oh yeah," because
Oh
in
yeah,
this
so
scene, I couldn't
you hadn't
remember.
watched it
No, it
yet.
was fine because I couldn't remember if he was possessed or not, and I was like, "I think he is, but I can't honestly remember." And then I was like, I could see Bobby being super mad at Sam for this,
Yeah.
but I don't know if he would. He would say it, but I don't think he would ever mean it. Like I could see him saying that in a fit of rage, but not actually meaning it, and then coming back and saying, "No, I didn't mean that." For me personally, as somebody who has a very hot flare of temper when I'm angry, I my imagination can stretch to it momentarily. I don't think that he would mean it. I do not think that his heart would be in it, but you know when you say something in anger that you don't actually mean. So I was torn because I was like, is he saying something in anger that he doesn't actually mean? Or is this the demon? And then I was like, oh, it's the demon. And that makes a lot of sense because Bobby probably wouldn't really ever say that. But in my
Yeah.
head, that was the dialogue, or I was trying to like talk myself into it.
Hmm. I did actually find on IMDb, you know how they not don't just have the trivia, they have like goofs and stuff as well. And
Yeah,
someone pointed out a plot hole here, which I thought was interesting, so I thought I'd add it
really.
in. And it's just Bobby being possessed. It says Bobby being possessed by a demon. Please, he has been a hunter way longer than Sam and Dean. He was the one
Mm.
that gave the boys the charms that protect against demon possession in Born Under a Bad Sign, and we are to believe that he neither wears a charm nor has a protective tattoo. Sorry, but that's too much of a stretch.
Ooh, yeah, he's too smart for that shit. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I wonder how
My,
they did do it because obviously we don't see that.
yeah, that is really interesting. My thoughts were the clues that Bobby wasn't Bobby. When I like really thought about it, was Bobby agreeing with John's plan to kill Sam, even if he was really
Hmm.
angry and was like saying stuff in a fit of rage that he didn't mean.
Yeah.
I don't think that he would ever say we should have killed Sam.
No.
And disowning Sam is also another clue. And then this was the biggest one for me, and I was like, I'm so dumb. His hat is absolutely pristine. I have never seen him wear a clean hat in his life. Ever. Ever, 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 never, ever. So the fact that this hat looks like it's never touched dirt or mechanic grease or anything was definitely a clue that like this was not actually Bobby.
So Demon Bobby is beating up Dean, and then another Demon Barbie comes in, and we find out it's Meg. And I I wrote in my notes, she's more of an alt Barbie though, like those new dolls that are
Yeah.
vampires and werewolves and stuff. And I think they're called
Yeah,
Monster High
she's like a
dolls.
monster high alt Barbie.
And then I put Meg's back. Was there really any need for her to kiss him, Dean? Though
It was funny. It was really, really funny.
they were my only notes.
I love it. Okay. So in the action, Bobby, quote unquote, possessed Bobby, grabs Dean by the throat and drags him to his feet. Then this is when Meg comes in and there's a male demon behind her. And I wrote me screaming, yes, Meg, my girl. Rachel Miner is stupid talented. She delivers her lines like a 40s femme fatale. Emojis with heart eyes.
Yeah, she's really cool.
She's amazing. She says, I always knew you were a big, dumb, slow pain in the ass, Dean, but I never dreamed you were so VIP. And then she sees Ruby's demon knife on the table and picks it up. She says, I mean, you're going to ice the devil? You? If I'd have known that, I'd have ripped your pretty, pretty face off ages ago. And Dean says, Ruby? And she says, try again. Go back further. And I wrote, thirst trap. And Dean says, Meg? And Meg says, hi. These are the days of miracle and wonder, Dean. Our Father's among us. You know, we're all dreaming again for the first time since we were human. It's heaven on earth or hell. We really owe you a fruit basket. And I was like, that fruit basket line killed me. And Dean says, my God, you like the sound of your own voice. And Meg says, but you, on the other hand, you're the only bump in the road. So every demon, every single one, is just dying for a piece of you. And Dean smirks and he says, get in line. And Meg says, oh, I'm in the front of the line, baby. Let's ride. And then she kisses Dean. And I mean, she forcefully Frenches Dean.
Mhm.
And Dean says, what is that? Peanut butter? I have
Ew.
like 4 laughing emojis. And Meg says, you know, your surrogate daddy's still awake, screaming in there, and I want him to know how it feels slicing
Poor.
the life out of you. So she hands the knife over to Demon Bobby, who raises it to Dean's throat. Dean's struggling and he's saying, Bobby. And he's saying it in this like kid voice of like,
Mm,
it's the way you would say daddy. Do you know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
brokenhearted. And possessed Bobby looks back at Meg and she screams, now. And then possessed Bobby raises the knife to stab Dean. And Dean's screaming, Bobby, no. And I have like 16 crying emojis. Then the black
Yeah.
fades from Bobby's eyes. The knife comes
Mm.
down. I get so emotional.
It's really sad.
And Bobby flashes gold as the demon Bobby dies. Bobby stabbed himself. He collapses.
Mm.
And I wrote, Bobby is Superman. I am crying.
Yeah, see, he was really strong because he could actually come through a little bit.
Because, like, I don't think we've ever seen anybody else overcome demonic
No.
possession, ever. Not even John. And John managed to break himself out of hell. So it's incredible.
It's how much he loves them.
It's actually beautiful and it makes me cry. I'm not going to lie to you. And I believe it wholeheartedly. Like for a lot of the time, as cynical and as jaded as I am, I would be like, okay, well, this is dumb because no one's ever been able to do this before. This is a plot hole. But when it's Bobby, I absolutely believe it. I'm just like, oh
Yeah.
my God, Bobby.
You just know Bobby was in there being like, no, I'm not going to stab Dean.
Also,
I'm going
he
to
is so
fight.
stubborn.
Yeah.
I
And that.
can definitely see Bobby like wrestle a demon inside him and be like, fuck you.
Yeah, definitely. I believe it.
Yep, me too. So Dean rushes Meg and the male demon. The male demon slams Dean into the wall and then the floor. Sam enters and sees Bobby on the floor bleeding and Dean getting beaten up. And Sam says, no. And Meg says, hey, Sammy, you miss me? Because I sure missed you. And I just have like a flaming heart emoji. And Sam says, Meg? And Meg grins. Sam swings and misses. Meg kicks him in the crotch and knocks him to the ground while the male demon pounds on Dean in the background. Meg
There's a
says it's
lot of
not.
punching going on.
There's a lot of punching. I love it. I love a good fight scene. Meg says it's not so easy without those super special demon powers, huh, Sammy? And the demon kicks Dean. Meg punches Sam. Dean kicks the feet out of the male demon, grabs the knife out of Bobby's stomach, and stabs him in the chest, as in the demon.
Yeah.
Dean stands up. Meg backs away. Dean advances. Meg screams and smokes out of the woman who collapses. Dean lowers the knife.
She probably went into a vent or something, where demon
Yeah,
dust loves to go.
as they do. It's their second home. Demons in the vents. Snakes on a plane.
So we're back in Delaware, and Nick is packing up a box full of baby stuff, looking sad. And then haunted shit starts happening with the baby stuff. A rocking chair thing turns on and starts rocking, and then a baby starts crying over the baby monitor. And he pulls all the stuff out of the box to find it, and then goes to the nursery. And this is really sad because you can tell how traumatic it is for him just from his facial
Yeah.
expressions. The baby monitor goes silent as he stares at the cot or the crib. But as he walks away, the baby starts crying again, and then blood starts pouring out of the cot, and Nick looks horrified and falls to his knees, and he's just sobbing. And this is obviously something bad has happened to his wife and child, and I
Mm.
feel so bad for him. Poor Nick.
Yeah. I wrote Nick is one of the most sympathetic characters in Supernatural, like I said before. And then I wrote, and the devil is a bag of dicks.
But also, like, Mark is a good actor.
He's an amazing actor. Like, he just breaks your heart at this scene. You can tell that he was a great father and a great husband, and he
Yeah.
treasured his family. And his grief is like an ocean. Like, he's
Yeah.
overwhelmed by it. He's consumed by it. He's traumatized.
Is it quite recent, do you think? That's how I kind of felt like it was quite a recent thing.
Yeah, it's definitely fresh for him.
Hmm.
I don't think that the timing between their murders and what we see at the beginning has been a really long time.
Yeah.
It's
And that
really
kind of
well
then
done.
makes sense as to why he'd agree, because it's
Yeah.
still all raw.
Yeah.
So then we got to the hospital, and Sam and Dean are dragging Bobby into the hospital and get him some help for his stab wound. He doesn't look okay. And lots of people rush to take him in. Then a nurse tells them to stay where they are because she has questions, and then rushes off. Sam and Dean both look worried, and Sam wants to stay with Bobby, but Dean says no, they need to go because the demons now know where the sword is and they've got to get there before they do. So they leave and go to the storage place.
So The Impala roars by us to camera left. We see the taillights. We fade on rain on the window with colored lights. The camera pans around to a close-up of the Impala's windows. It then pans right until we see the boys standing at the trunk. Dean opens it. Camera dives down into the trunk. Then we cut looking up at Sam and Dean from inside the trunk. Sam and Dean grab guns. We see handguns and then shotguns. We get close-ups of their hands on the guns. Sam cocks his, Dean twirls his like a gunslinger, and it's metal as fuck. And then I just wrote thirst trap in all caps.
This is cool.
Yeah. Then we cut to the previous side shot of the car. The trunk slams shut. The camera slowly pans up to reveal a neon sign that says 24 hours castle storage. There's ominous music. Sam and Dean walk around the car stage left, and the camera pulls back slightly and moves a little with the boys, giving us this super cool sense of drama as they walk forward. And then they go in. Dean unlocks it. I had to rewind it like 3 or 4 times. I was trying to get every single camera movement and write it down because I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool.
So we go inside the lockup at night. Sam and Dean have shotguns at the ready. They find a whole bunch of dead-ass demons sprawled all over the floor on a devil's trap. And Zachariah kind of just emerges and says, I see you told the demons where the sword is. Dean and Sam turn, and Zachariah is there with 2 angels escorting Dean. And Dean says, oh, thank God, the angels are here.
I love how sarcastic he is.
I died laughing. Zachariah says, and to think they could have grabbed it anytime they wanted. And then he waves his hand and it just slams the door shut. And he says it was right in front of them, all hella ominously. And Sam says, what do you mean? And he says, we may have planted that particular piece of prophecy inside Chuck's skull, but it happened to be true. We did lose the Michael sword. We truly couldn't find it until now. You've just hand-delivered it to us. And Dean says, we don't have anything. And Zachariah says, it's you, Chucklehead. You're the Michael sword. And I was like, that's funny because Dean called him a chucklehead. So he's like, you're the chucklehead.
I just wrote, Dean's a sword. Okay.
Oh, God. Zachariah says, what? You thought you could actually kill Lucifer, you simpering wad of insecurity and self-loathing? No, you're just a human, Dean, and not much of one.
Did he just call Dean a simp?
My note says clearly jealous. Dean says, what do you mean I'm the sword? And Zachariah says, you're Michael's weapon, or rather his receptacle. And Dean's like horrified. He's like, I'm a vessel? And Zachariah says, you are the vessel, Michael's vessel. And Dean's like, how? Why me? Zachariah says, because you're chosen. It's a great honor, Dean. And Dean says, oh yeah, life is an angel condom. That's real fun. And I was like, this is the best quote. And I was like, Sam also looks wildly uncomfortable in the background this whole scene. Dean says, I think I'll pass, thanks. And Zachariah says, joking, always joking. Well, no more jokes. And then he raises his hand and makes a finger gun, points it at Sam, and then like does the thumb thing to fire it. And there's a bang, like a gun sound. Mm-hmm. There's this loud crunch and Sam falls unable to stand. And he's like, God, because he's in so much pain. And Dean says, you son of a bitch. And Zachariah says, keep mouthing off. I'll break more than his legs. I'm completely and utterly through screwing around. The war has begun. We don't have our general. That's bad. Now Michael is going to take his vessel and lead the final charge against the adversary. You understand me? And Dean says, how many humans die in the crossfire, huh? 1 million? 5? 10? Zachariah says, probably more. If Lucifer goes unchecked, you know how many will die? All of them. He'll roast the planet alive. And Dean says, oh, no. There's a reason you're telling me this instead of just nabbing me. You need my consent. Michael needs my say-so to ride around in my skin. And I wrote, clever girl. Insert Velociraptor gif. Also, there's somebody made a shirt that said, if the devil needs someone's consent to get in their body, so do you. And made this whole consent campaign.
Yeah. I like
and
that.
Mark wore it to a con. And when stuff came up and when like horrible incel men were saying horribly sexist things, like I saw a post where he's pointing at the shirt like, if the devil needs consent. He's so like he's really like been like an amazing ally. And I fucking love that.
Yeah. I did actually have a little plot hole, a flag, should we say,
flag
about
away.
the consent stuff, just because you mentioned consent. Didn't Dean already consent in when a levee breaks, when we joked that him and Cass got married? Was that not him
He
consenting
vowed
to
to
that?
serve the angels, but that's not the same thing as, like, if we think of this as an
Oh, okay.
incantation, as magic, in
Yeah.
order to actually be possessed, you have to say that
So
they
that
can
wasn't.
possess
I
you.
thought that was. I thought that was them sneakily getting the consent they needed later.
That would have been smarter. But at that I don't think at that point, I don't think they knew that it was him,
Yeah. Okay.
because otherwise they would have handled things really differently.
Yeah.
So Zachariah says, "Unfortunately, yes." And Dean says, "Well, there's got to be another way." And Zachariah says, "There is no other way. There must be a battle. Michael must defeat the serpent. It is written." And Dean says, "Yeah, maybe, but on the other hand, eat me." The answer is no. And Sam in the background, his face is like, "Oh no, why are you doing this to me?" And Zachariah says, "Okay, how about this? Your friend Bobby, we know he's gravely injured. Say yes and we'll heal him. Say no, he'll never walk again." And Sam glances at Dean and Dean says, he looks really pained, like he's horrified, but he says no.
Mm.
And Zachariah says, "How about we heal you from stage 4 stomach cancer?" And Dean doubles over and he starts coughing and he's spitting into his hand and there's blood. And
Yeah.
Dean's like hoarse and he can barely form the words, but he manages to say no.
Mm.
And Zachariah says, "Then let's get really creative. Let's see. How does Sam do without his lungs?" And then Sam starts gasping for breath like a fish out of water. Dean turns to look at Sam and is horrified, but you can see his resolve on his face because he knows how bad things will be if he says yes.
Mm.
And Zachariah says, "Are we having fun yet?" "You're going to say yes, Dean." And Dean says, "Just kill us." And Zachariah says, "Kill you? Oh no, I'm just getting started." And then there are huge light flashes. And Zachariah turns and one of the angels collapses with a bloody hole in its throat as a sword stabs through it. Castiel stands behind him.
Yay.
Yep.
Love
And
Cass.
we're like, "Oh my God, Cass just like throat killed this angel." The other angel fights Castiel. Dean and Zachariah stare. Sam tries to take a breath. Castiel and the angel slam each other around. Castiel stabs the other angel in the back. Bright light flashes. Zachariah stares. Castiel walks closer in the background. Sam is still in silence. Zachariah says, "How are you?" And Castiel says, "Alive?" That's a good
Yeah.
question. How did these two end up on that airplane? Another good question. Because the
Mm.
angels didn't do it. I think we both know the answer, don't we, Zachariah? And Zachariah says, "No, that's not possible." And Castiel says, "It scares you." "Well, it should. Now put these boys back together and go. I won't ask twice." And I wrote Cass Thirst Trap in all capitals.
Yeah. I did have a few questions here. So, well, first of all, I just wrote, Cass is here. Yay. Go, Gadget, go. And then. But I did have a question. So, how does Cass now have authority over Zachariah? Something's happened, and I don't understand.
Okay,
Do we just not know yet?
so the clues are very subtextual, but the clues go, God decided that Sam and Dean are his favorite, and also Cass is his favorite. He likes Cass, so he's resurrected Cass and given him a power boost, and said,
Okay.
And Cass, either he said go forth and fuck shit up, but I don't think he did because Cass doesn't know how. Like he instinctively knows because God is the only option. But he hasn't been given explicit instructions. Otherwise, he would say that's a good question. He wouldn't be saying that's a good question. So God has resurrected him, powered him up, and now Cass is here to fuck shit up. And he comes in like the Terminator, and it's the sexiest thing I've ever seen since the barn scene.
But was it not God who tried to get all the other angels to start the apocalypse in the first place? Or was that just the angels?
That was them cutting their own. So like in this universe,
Okay.
God stepped out for a smoke break a long time ago and has not come back.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
left
they did say that at
everyone
some
to their
point.
own devices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
Okay.
those were the angels conspiring, thinking they're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Okay, then.
Yeah.
Makes sense now.
So Zachariah runs like a little bitch. Yay!
Yeah. And that was definitely a Cass thirst trap, that whole scene.
Oh yeah, for sure. Cass says you two need to be more careful. And Dean says, "Yeah, I'm starting to get that. Your frat brothers are bigger dicks than I thought." And Cass says, "I don't mean the angels. Lucifer is circling his vessel, and once he takes it, those hex bags won't be enough to protect you." So he puts one hand on Dean's chest and the other on Sam's, and Dean and Sam are like gasp, but it looks like they want to scream, but they're in so much pain that they can't even get the air to scream. And Dean says, "What the hell was that?" Cass says, an Enochian sigil. It'll hide you from every angel in creation, including Lucifer. And Dean says, what, did you just brand us with it? And Cass says, no, I carved it into your ribs. And Dean's face is like, I am with a crazy person.
Yeah.
You are
Such a chill
crazy.
thing to do.
And then Sam says, hey, Cass, were you really dead? And Cass says, yes. And Dean says, then how are you back? And Castiel vanishes. Typical.
Yeah, I just put he runs away or flies away, to be more accurate, and doesn't answer them.
Yeah. Supernatural Wiki transcript says Sam and Dean are alone with the dead. And I was like, that was good writing.
So then we're back with Nick, and he's in bed asleep, and a woman in a white nightgown appears to him. And it's the same woman from before, and it's his wife, but not really. She explains she's really an angel called Lucifer. And Nick says, sure, could you do me a favor there, Satan, and remind me to quit drinking before I go to bed?
I love that line.
Yeah.
So basically, there's a back and forth, like Laura said, with witty banter. And then Lucifer says, you're a vessel, a very powerful vessel. And he says, meaning what exactly? And Lucifer says, I need to take control of your mind and your body. To be honest, it'll probably be unpleasant for you, but it's necessary. Nick says, okay, look, if it's just the same to you, I think I'd rather wake up now. And Lucifer said, I told you this is real. Don't be afraid. This is your choice. And then continues to say, you need to invite me in. And Nick says, even if this is real, which it's not, but assuming it was, why the hell would I do something like that? And Lucifer says, you people misunderstand me. You call me Satan and devil. But do you know my crime? I loved God too much. And for that, he betrayed me, punished me, just as he's punished you. After all, how could God stand idly by while that man broke into your home and butchered your family in their beds? And Nick looks absolutely gutted. Lucifer said, there are only two rational answers, Nick. Either he's sadistic or he simply doesn't care. You're angry. You have every right to be angry. I am angry too. That's why I want to find him, hold him accountable for his actions. Just because he created us doesn't mean he can toy with us like playthings. And Nick says, if I help you, can you bring back my family? And he's still very teary and emotional. In this part, you're just like, oh my God, my heart.
Yeah.
Lucifer says, I'm sorry, I can't, but I can give you the next best thing. God did this to you, Nick, and I can give you justice. Peace. Nick says, how do I know you're telling the truth? And Lucifer says, because contrary to popular belief, I don't lie. I don't need to. What I need is you. Nick, I need you to say yes. And Nick, we see him remembering the empty baby rocker, the blood pouring from the crib, and then the crib being empty again. And then he says, then yes. I really liked that most of this sequence was shot in black and white and that his flashbacks are full color because PTSD makes your brain think that the trauma is happening in real time, like right now.
Yeah.
And we know scientifically that that's what's happening. Like your brain is firing as if the event is happening right in this moment.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very clever.
Yeah, that's cool. I just add notes about Lucifer as a character because I think it's really interesting already, even though we haven't seen him properly. Because he is honest, because says it's going to be a horrible experience for him, but he needs to let him in. And then obviously very manipulative because he appears as his wife and acts sympathetic to get him to agree. Yep. But yeah, I just think the character's really clever. I'm really excited to see more of it.
Woo! It's just to remind me of all the memes that say, like, we have a conversation and you're in the supernatural fandom and talk about how much you love Lucifer or how hot Lucifer is, and everybody hearing you thinks that you're a Satanist.
Yeah.
They're like, no, it's a show.
Didn't I read somewhere, I think it was on one of the memes that you posted on Instagram actually, and it was the thing, and I remember this and I didn't understand the context, and it was the whole, was it Puff Daddy? Was it P. Diddy who like
it was either the Lucifer is Twitter, rising trended worldwide, like globally, and then P. Diddy he was freaked out.
Yeah.
Which is even more ironic now that all that stuff has come out, right?
Yeah.
He's like, no, God is here. And I was like,
but it was like something, what was he had a hashtag in response, and I was like,
yeah, hashtag God is here.
I remember that happening. Yeah. But I didn't understand the supernatural reference, obviously.
And now you know.
Yeah. So so then we see from the outside of the house as a bright light takes over the whole bedroom, and we know this means that Lucifer has entered the chat. Uh-oh.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, his name literally means light bringer. and he was the brightest of God's angels. So these
That's cool.
huge flares of light, his association with like the morning sun and all of these things, it's really accurate and really fun because it's accurate.
Yeah, cool. So then we cut to the hospital again, and Bobby is shouting at the doctors.
He's saying, "Unlikely to walk again? Why, you snot-nosed son of a bitch, wait till I get out of this bed." And he's like throwing something at the doctor, and the doctor's running in terror.
But he's clearly feeling better.
Yeah, and then he's screaming, "I'll use my game leg and kick your friggin' ass. Yeah, you better run." And then he looks over at Dean and he says, "You believe that, Yahoo?" And Dean says, "Screw him, you'll be fine." And Sam says, "So let me ask the $1 million question. What do we do now?" And Bobby says, "Well, we save as many as we can for as long as we can, I guess. It's bad. Whoever wins, heaven or hell, we're boned." And Dean says, "What if we win?" Bobby stares at him. Sam turns around to look at Dean. And Dean then gives this really inspiring speech. Like, he's so charismatic. He says, "I'm serious. I mean, screw the angels and the demons and their crap apocalypse. Hell, they want to fight a war, they can find their own planet. This one's ours. And I say they get the hell off it. We take them all on. We kill the devil. Hell, we even kill Michael if we have to. But we do it our own damn selves." And I wrote, "Thirst trap."
All right. Dean has a plan. Not a very realistic plan, but a plan.
I love it. I was here for it, 100%. And Bobby says, "And how are we supposed to do all this, genius?" And Dean says, "I got no idea, but what I do have is a GED and a give 'em hell attitude, and I'll figure it out."
That was fun.
And Bobby says, "You are 9 kinds of crazy, boy." And Dean says, "It's been said." And I was like, I love these lines. Amazing writing.
Yeah. So then Bobby speaks to Sam about what the demon said to him, and he says it was the demon talking, and he isn't ever cutting him out. And I wrote, see, that's the Bobby we know and love.
Yeah.
And then Bobby says he deserves a medal, and I agree.
Yeah. I agree too. He does deserve a medal.
Yeah. So then Sam and Dean leave the hospital. Sam says maybe they should go after the cult and try and use it against Lucifer. And Dean says that what he was just saying to Bobby was a load of crap for Bobby's benefit, and they don't really stand a chance. And then he gets mad at Sam again.
He does, yeah.
He's not forgiving him.
He says, I don't think we can ever be what we were, you know? And Sam nods again, and he looks so sad. And Dean says, "I just don't think I can trust you." And Sam looks up, and he wasn't expecting that. Like, he looks heartbroken. And Dean shakes his head and walks away, pausing at the trunk of the Impala to look back, then gets in the driver's seat. And Sam's just standing there so far away. And so isolated and alone. And I wrote emotional damage in all capital letters.
Definitely. I wrote, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
It is really strongly that vibe, which is very hard and very tragic. And like, I see both sides of it in this one, because Dean is doing what you should do in that situation, which is just airing his honest feelings. He's not trying to be cruel. He's not trying to hurt Sam. He's literally just expressing how he feels in this moment in time.
Which is fair.
It is fair. It's also heartbreaking. And you feel so sorry for Sam when he's just standing there by himself in the rain, like not even getting into the car.
Yeah, definitely. We had to end it with them fighting again.
We do, but I can maybe...
Or being at odds.
I can maybe cheer you up a little bit, because there's a cute little Easter egg. Ooh. So the hospital is called St. Martin's, and I looked it up. And St. Martin of Tours was a 4th century Roman soldier turned monk and bishop, famous for charity. So basically, he's supposedly cut his cloak for a beggar who turned out to be Jesus, and then was a patron of soldiers in France. His feast day was in November, which is interesting because the show started in November. Like, in the show's timeline, everything starts kicking off in November. And then there's also Saint Martin de Porres, who could also be, but I feel like the soldier reference is linking into the whole Michael sword thing. But I like both of them. So he was a 17th century Peruvian Dominican lay brother known for charity, healing, and miracles, a patron of racial harmony, and the first Black saint in the Americas.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. And I just thought both of them seem to have very wholesome backgrounds, but I like the fact that we have this Roman soldier who turned into a monk who became so kind and caring. So it's like the idea of the kind, caring soldier. I feel like that's what Sam and Dean are. And so I thought the fact that the hospital was called St. Martin's was just like a cheeky little, cute little moment.
I like that.
Me too.
Should we play games?
We should play games.
Villain hot or not?
Who are we saying is the biggest villain in this episode? Do we have multiple, or are we
We've
just
got
going for one?
New Meg and Lucifer. So now.
Lucifer is hot because even though he's not in the vessel yet, like, well, he is by the end of it, which means he's in
which
Nick,
means he's hot.
which means he's hot. So yeah, hot villain. Check. Meg is also a hot villain. Yes. So yeah, hot villains.
What did you think about Nick's wife? Is she a hot villain? Because she's Lucifer, obviously.
So sympathetic. She's too
she's very
too persuasive and big-eyed for me. Like she's like, I don't know. That's not the vibe that I got from her.
Okay. Episode scare rating.
I give this episode, I'm gonna give it a 5 because of the emotional damage of Bobby telling Sam to never talk to him again.
Yeah. I gave it a 5.5. I think the Lucifer haunted house stuff was the scariest parts. But it's not like jump scare horror film scary, is it?
Yeah, and there is some gore and it is scary when his wife is bleeding and the blood is there. And but because obviously they're not going to show us what's in the cot, it's less it's still horrible, but it's less horrible. Everything's edited to make it acceptable for TV. So it just makes it, if this was a horror movie, it would be a 10 out of 10. But because it's made for network TV, it kind of guts it down to like a 5, 6.
The Zachariah, like, basically torturing Sam and Dean was horrible.
That was also horrible.
Oh, and Demon Bobby.
And the emotional damage of the brothers fighting.
Yeah.
And that ending where he's like, I can't trust you. And Sam doesn't even get in the car. That's horrible.
Yeah. Favorite quotes? I have quite a lot this time.
I have loads, yeah.
I had Chuck describing how Cass died. He exploded like a water balloon of chunky soup. It's like, ew. Dean saying, cram it with walnuts ugly.
That was really good, yeah.
Dean also saying, the rest of Dean. Dean sarcastically, oh, thank God, the angels are here.
That was amazing, yeah. I love that one.
Dean saying, oh yeah, life is an angel condom. That's real fun.
Yeah.
And then the bit at the end where he says, I have no idea, but what I do have is a GED and a give them hell attitude, and I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I liked that.
My first quote was, oh, thank God, the angels are here. So we kind of twinned on that one.
Yeah, that's a good quote.
Then I had, oh yeah, life as an angel condom. That's real fun.
Yeah.
When he says, eat me, the answer's no, and Sam in the background is like, no, why? Oh yeah, and then it's basically the same thing. It's his speech saying, screw the angels and the demons and their crap apocalypse. They want to fight a war, they can fight in their own planet. This one's ours. And I say they get the hell off of it. We take him on, we kill the devil. Hell, we even kill Michael if we have to, but we do it our own damn selves. That was both a quote and a thirst trap. I was obsessed with that. I loved it. Also, when Bobby says I was awake, I know what I said back there. I just want you to know that was the demon talking. I ain't cutting you out, boy. Not ever.
Aww.
It's so cute. And those are my quotes.
Yeah, they were good ones.
Yeah.
What were your thirst traps then? Seeing as you had loads, I only had 2, so I'll go. You go first. I did not have a Sam one. Fun fact.
Yeah. So my first thirst trap is Meg's entrance.
Mm-hmm.
Then when it's all Meg, honestly. Meg saying, "Hey, Sammy, you missed me because I sure missed you." Then when they are getting the guns out of the trunk and Dean twirls the shotgun like a gunslinger. Like it's like this perfect finger flick, but with a shotgun. How? I don't understand, but it was a thirst trap. Also, when he says eat me, the answer is no. That was a thirst trap. When he's like being all defiant and dying, basically, that was definitely a thirst trap because he was like, fuck you so much. Then when Cass turns up and kills everyone, that was a thirst trap.
Yeah, I've got that.
Dean's speech about like killing everyone and saving the world is a thirst trap. And that's my last thirst trap.
I had the Cass one when Cass turns up, but also Dean sending the angels back with the banishing sigil thing.
Yeah, that was awesome, actually. I missed that one. That should have been in there.
Now, for MVP, are we going to give Bobby his medal? And if not, it's Cass, I think, for coming in and saving them.
We should give Bobby his medal because no one else has ever overcome a demon possession through fatherly love. So,
yeah,
MVP to Bobby, and then Cass can have second place.
Cass can have an honourable mention.
He can have an
for actually saving everyone.
For actually doing the thing, but I'm sorry. There's no way I'm not going to give it to Bobby.
He asked so nicely for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give Bobby his medal.
Bobby.
And I didn't have anything for the motel, and you said it was horrible, so I'm going to go with you.
0 stars. It was terrible. I would not stay there. Everything has this horrible, like, boiled pea, greenish, yellowish color. It's like a by the hour place. Ugh. There's lots of dodgy dealings and dodgy stuff happening, and the wallpaper pattern gives me, like, the ick.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. Everything you said, I agree with.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I am very excited about the next episode because I want to see Lucifer.
Me too. I'm so excited for the next episode. I'm so excited for the rest of the season. There's so many iconic episodes in season 5. It's unreal. Like, we started the warm up with like we've had Mystery Spot. We've had one of the first meta episodes very recently. I'm drawing a blank, but it was very recent. It was very
Monster
good. It was very funny. Book. That's it. Monster at the end of this book. Like, they're warming you up, and then you get into season 5, and it's just like a chef's kiss.
I feel like I've definitely heard of some of these episodes before.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Do you have any predictions at all, aside from the fact that Lucifer's going to be hella hot?
No, I think it's too early in the season for me to... I've got no idea.
That's fair.
He's clearly going to try and actually end the world. Because it's like they've started the apocalypse, but it's not actually happened yet.
Yeah. Sam and Dean versus the devil.
Yeah, it's a very strange concept, but it worked. I'm not questioning it, even though you'd think you probably should.
I think it's awesome. I'm just like, this is the best place. This is the best place to elevate this story to, because, like, of course you need to see the Winchesters fighting the devil. Of course you do. And I remember being so scared, but also so hyped when we see Lucifer turn up for the first time. And especially when you start getting Lucifer, like, Lucifer's lines are gold.
Yeah, so, I'm looking forward to them all having scenes together, like, with all of them.
I'm thrilled, honestly.
That would be funny.
Well, I feel like that is the perfect place to end this episode.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening, guys. Remember to rate us 5 stars, please. We're so close to 25-star reviews. We're so close. Please, someone fulfill my dream. On that unhinged note. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at The Witches of Letters Podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.